We've heard a lot about Modern Warfare 2 in regards to leaks, rumors, and everything like that, but a lot of what we've discussed already has been in relation to multiplayer, the campaign, and narrative of the game. However, recently there's been a bit of discussion in regards to DMZ, the rumored name for the third mode coming alongside in Modern Warfare 2 later this year. Today I want to relay some information to you, perhaps clear the air a little bit, and just discuss what we know and why what we see now in this development may not necessarily be exactly bad news as it initially sounds. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to the potential third mode here within Modern Warfare 2, or is it something you might pick up once or twice and then maybe forget all about? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below, but if you enjoy the video, do me a favor and drop a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, do be sure that subscribe button stay there with all things Modern Warfare 2. With May pushing on, we're bound to have more teasers and even the possibility of a full-blown reveal here within the next 30 days or so. So if you guys are at all interested in staying up to date with any and all of it, I'd love to have in the community. And finally, we'll come back to it a little bit later, but if you guys work at a computer, you game a ton, or even on your phone for prolonged periods of time a day, check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for the best blue light glasses on the market. I swear by them, and if you'd like the best in comfort and protection, they're definitely the best to go. So check them out. Consider using code ESPRESSO to get 10% off your entire order if you do. But that said, let's jump into it. So with Modern Warfare 2, we know a few things fundamentally. Number one, it's going to be called Modern Warfare 2 and will likely pull on those heartstrings and nostalgia that comes along with that name. Number two, it's coming out later this year. Three, it's going to have a full offering of campaign, multiplayer, and a third mode of some kind. And four, it's described as a new era of Call of Duty. But one thing that we haven't seen officially stated by any of the Call of Duty socials or anything like that is one that is probably the most intriguing part to me and the most that gets me excited. But this is the first game since Modern Warfare 2019 to receive a full 3 years of uninterrupted development time. Before Modern Warfare 2019, I'd probably wager the last game that we saw that had a full 3 years was like Black Ops 3 back in 2015. Infinite Warfare was reported to be scrapped and rebuilt at the year and some change mark. World War II was meant to initially be an Advanced Warfare 2 according to insiders, but because of that advanced movement fatigue, they changed and corrected course. Then Black Ops 4 had developmental setbacks to the point where the entirety of the campaign was cut. And well, then we had Modern Warfare 2019. So the fact that this has a full 3 years of uninterrupted development time, that's what makes me interested. By all accounts, it should be a full offering, and the prospect of this rumored third mode seems to only embolden that notion. While campaign and multiplayer is something that is standard and has tons of replayability, or I guess mostly multiplayer. I've played a couple of campaigns a bunch of times, but mainly that multiplayer is what ends up bringing you back into the fold here consistently. But this rumored DMZ looks to be an entirely fresh idea into the COD space, and it does have a ton of potential for replayability. In fact, it shares some of the very fundamentals currently as of rumored right now with one of the most replayable games out there, Escape From Tarkov. The objective of which, for those unfamiliar, is to drop into an area, loot up, and extract, in which it's a one-life mode. You drop in, risking whatever you have on your person being lost if you die, and your goal, of course, is to come out with more and build your armory and collection of those items up even further with every single extract. Then you can sell stuff in the in-game market if you so choose to, and we'll see if COD does something like that, but that's basically the fundamentals. You drop in, loot up, have to survive, get in some gunfights if needed, but it's something that this rumored third mode called DMZ looks to be Call of Duty's take on this, or that's what we're looking to see in a nutshell. Now, we've talked about this before, so just wanted to preface this as sort of a refresher for those that may not have seen the other videos talking about the leaks here of this mode. But what's cool to add to this is this actually was reported to be in development since pre-Modern Warfare 2019. So in theory, this looks to be the longest developed part of the game, perhaps, a mode that was floated around the studio as the possible third mode instead of what we saw with Spec Ops, but it didn't quite make the cut. Which, another fun fact, Zombies was actually tossed around for Modern Warfare 2019, but was ultimately cut for that realism aspect, though there is some really cool concept art out there if you'd like to take a look at that. But one thing to consider, that doesn't mean that it will be the most focused on mode. Instead, that this is something that's been a passion project for a while and is now finally seeing the light of day, if all things go according to plan, and is as rumored as such. Which, to me, means that this should be a pretty cool offering, that it has had so much support for so long. But that leads us to this up-to-date discussion. What's new and why are we bringing it back into the conversation now if we've already discussed the fundamentals and we've already heard about that? Well, turns out a source for TheGhostofHope, an insider and leaker that we've talked about here on the channel, apparently gave some insight into the build at launch that we'll be seeing. Hope stated Modern Warfare 2's third mode DMZ will launch in beta, with a quote of something like DMZ doesn't become final until the general public has gotten its hands on it. It's a large mode that needs maintenance. And he also further clarified then in other replies, stating that this will be like Escape From Tarkov, what you take with you can lose, more tactical, etc. That yes, it will be in beta at launch, not necessarily in the actual beta, probably sometime later this summer here with the multiplayer experience, but instead beta as a sort of state of the mode come launch of the game. And finally clarifying that they want to nail this mode down, so I'm sure they're putting more resources into it regardless, in regards to being asked if this is so they can upkeep it a little quicker. So there's quite a bit to unpack here, kind of. Launching in beta though is probably the biggest thing that a lot of people will take away from this. So what does that mean? As we discussed a few times, beta doesn't mean bare minimum. I think that when we think of alpha and beta states of a game, it's often misunderstood or miscommunicated that this is kind of the basic building blocks of a game, that you'd be playing as like poly stick figures and such, when in reality, alpha and beta is just the first entries and first presentations of the game in a completed state. The comparison that I always use is a term paper or final essay when you're in school. Your first draft is absolutely something that could be submitted. You did all the research, you did all the plot graphing and drafting, you did all the writing to put it into a coherent presentation, but if given the opportunity, you'd probably happily reread and edit and revise parts to make it even better, to polish it off per se. Alpha and beta states are just like that. A game absolutely could launch in alpha, but you'd likely find bugs, weapon balancing issues, stuff like that could easily be ironed out. But it's not like you're going to be fighting poly stick figures as character models and falling through maps anytime you take a step. For context, back before Modern Warfare 2019 was revealed at the end of May of 2019, creators and press got invited to Infinity Ward to see the game and its reveal ahead of schedule about a week before. But we also got a little bit of hands-on time with the multiplayer. Now, this is going to test my memory quite a bit, but if I remember correctly, we got to play Azure Cave Realism NVG, which is funny to me that that was one of the big things marketed with Modern Warfare 2019, this realism and NVG mode, but NVG was kind of dropped from the entire play space within the first week of it after launch. So anyways, we got to play that, and we also, if I'm not mistaken, got to play a little bit of Hackney Yard cyber attack and some gunfight. And honestly, it was all passable gameplay in alpha. It's reported that right now multiplayer was in alpha even earlier than that, back in February, so fingers crossed that it's a good sign. But point stands that when it's mentioned as launching in beta, it's not that bad. And in fact, if it eases the mind at all, Warzone actually launched in beta as well. So like his contact said to Hope, something like DMZ doesn't become final until the general public has gotten its hands on it. It's a larger mode that needs maintenance. So it's such a large undertaking that the gold seal of finalization, if you want to call it that, likely is being withheld intentionally to see what can be done to make it a fan favorite. And for that, if that's the case, I'm entirely cool with that. But am I worried? Not particularly. Again, especially with Warzone launching in beta, yeah, it had some bugs and issues here, but those were ironed out pretty quickly. But Warzone became the biggest thing in Call of Duty franchise history. So if it has the potential to be an awesome mode and a launch with just a sort of formality label on it, I think that's totally fine. As someone else also mentioned though, being in the beta state should hopefully allow for more frequent updates, or that's something that has happened in the past. That's why Fortnite, when it launched, was in beta for like the first year or so, if I'm not mistaken. If in beta, it is, from my understanding, a loophole that you don't have to submit for first-party approval as much, meaning that it won't get caught up in that red tape of everything that goes through behind the scenes like that, and fixes and adjustments can be made a little quicker. So again, if that's the case, I'm entirely for that. But that's kind of the bulk of the discussion here that I want to talk about. It was something that I saw come up and was being a little bit misconstrued in terms of the interpretation of it, but it is something that right now, I still don't think that it's any cause for worry, but instead it's just a formality, if you want to call it that. So that's where we're at here with this. Just want to fill you guys in. So let me know your thoughts down below. But before we wrap everything up, a reminder to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage. They're a blue light glasses company that I absolutely swear by. I've used their stuff for well over a year now and don't think I'll ever go back. As someone who's worked at their desk for 8 to 10 hours a day or more, mostly working on the computer, gaming a ton to get footage, or just like me, because I'm an addict, on my phone a lot, eye strain and fatigue is something that I've struggled to combat for years. I've used those pairs off Amazon for like 15 bucks, but let me tell you, dude, nothing compares to Gamer Advantage. What you pay for is absolutely what you get. The highest quality in comfort, durability, and clinically proven effectiveness. For me, I'm a huge fan of the Horizon frames. They're the most lightweight, and honestly, sometimes I even forget I have them on. If you'd like to learn more, check out any of their catalog here. Check the link in the description below, and if you end up picking anything up, use code Espresso to save yourself an additional 10% off your order. But that's it. That's what we're going to call it. So again, drop your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of DMZ here, this rumored third mode? Are you looking forward to it? If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2. We're getting very close to a bunch of teasers, reveals, and everything like that should history repeat itself here. So make sure you stick it here on the channel. We'll keep you up to date with absolutely everything. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.